The fourth studio album from the American hip-hop artist Schoolboy Q, his second major label release, comes at a time where hip-hop has seen a pretty terrific year in terms of quality albums. Q's last album, Oxymoron, was one that I personally found highly enjoyable. I enjoyed the visceral, harsh and bleak nature of many of the tracks, and Q's performances I thought in particular were very solid and showed multiple sides to the guy that reflected a talented artist. With this new release entitled Blank Face LP, I do find myself in a state of being rather torn. Whilst this project isn't anything horrendous nor unlistenable, I do find myself struggling to enjoy this project as much as I did the previous album. Thematically, the album's most prominent theme, one that pretty much takes up the vast majority of this project, concerns Q's past life and his history with gangs, guns and drugs, reminiscing back where it pretty much all started for the man at the age of 13 according to the song John Muir, and he proceeds to hit home about his remorselessness during this period of his life and his tendencies towards violence on the first half of Groovy Tony/Eddie Kane featuring Jadakiss. The second half of the track focusing on his ultimate downfall at the hands of the police. Q really drives home the point of gang life being an ugly and dangerous path that brings danger every single day, and the notion that at any point your life could be over before you know it. This is covered on the likes of Ride Out featuring Vince Staples, where the two trade back and forth about growing up in their respective neighbourhoods and the dangers that came with living in these areas. By Any Means, where Q's message boils down to the notion that if you wanted something, you'd have to go and get it by any means necessary, irrespective of how you got it or who you had to hurt along the way. And the album's closing track, Tukey Knows 2, featuring Traffic and TF, where all three highlight gang life's dangerous sides, the risks involved, and all admitting that any one of them could die in an instant as a result of getting what they want. And whilst other tracks of the same nature include Dope Dealer featuring E40, which is a snapshot of what drug dealing life was like for the two, Q does bring to the forefront his relief at no longer being affiliated with the gang life scene. Straight Ballin' further details the life as a drug dealer and gunslinger before transitioning into him blessing his fortune at being able to turn things around, and how his current position is a lot more attractive than before. Never Change featuring Scissor reflects even more on his past and how he is able to turn everything around, simultaneously condemning those who aren't willing to do the same and would rather ridicule and hate on those who are able to abandon their gang life for something better. And the brief Lord Have Mercy, where despite no longer being involved, Q does show his uncertainty as to whether his past life will be his ultimate downfall when his time on this planet is over and he faces his judgment day. Other tracks away from this central theme include Know You're Wrong featuring Lance Skywalker, where Q slams those who didn't want anything to do with the guy, but now that he's a prominent face in the rap game, those same people seem to be clamouring around him. Big Body centres on calling out those who pretend to be something that they're not and claim to possess certain materialistic items that are bought to represent that they have made it big in life. That part featuring Kanye West starts off with Q once again bragging about his gang life history, before Kanye, for some reason unknown to me since it's not related to Q's piece in any way, recants himself potentially cheating on his missus by being lured by other women in a nightclub. Black Thought sees Q attempting to act as a peacekeeper by urging those on warring sides, i.e. the Bloods and the Crips, in his community to come together and help sort shit out as a response to recent events that have seen those of an ethnic minority being treated like they're less than human. And finally, his attempts at wooing his girl on the track Whatever You Want featuring Candice Pillay by promising to treat her extravagantly, and Overtime featuring Miguel and Justine Skye, where Q outright states that he wants to fuck some random woman. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it right here, this is by far the worst song on the album, and it's no wonder why Q didn't want this track to make the album's final cut. And that's something that a handful of the songs have in common with the instrumentation and production. It's a mixed bag, producing some really stellar moments that could often be countered by the bad moments on this project. The guitar melodies on the opener, Torch, have a nice groove and funk elements going on, but it's incredibly cluttered, which is something that Blank Face seems to handle a lot better in comparison. The woozy, hypnotic electronic instrumentation on the first half of Groovy Tony/Eddie Kane before the buzzing bassline and glitchy synth comes in with Jadakiss's howling delivery is solid. The percussion driven Whatever You Want with the buzzing synth undercurrent has a decent dance groove going on, and Candice Pillay delivers a fine performance. I don't mind the production of Big Body coming courtesy of Tyler the Creator, with the ever present tinkling sound effect and synth horn throughout, creating an enjoyable dance style track. John Muir with its thudding beat and along with Q's delivery results in a solid banger. The trap hi-hats of Dope Dealer with the drum beat and sliding synth tone creates a dark backdrop that offsets the fast-paced delivery of the lyrics nicely, and the synth strings on Straight Ballin' adds to this album's dark aura. As far as this album's low points, well, as previously mentioned, Torch is pretty cluttered, Overtime is unbearable, and whilst Groove Tony/Eddie Kane is woozy in the best way possible, this song is the complete opposite in every way. Lord Have Mercy is too short and is dying for more expansion. As a fan of Kanye West, I fail to gravitate towards his contribution on that part, and even some of Kendrick Lamar's appearances on this project can leave a lot to be desired, especially on By Any Means, which is another slog to get. The washed out murky beat and laboured instrumentation of Black Thoughts is enough to send me to sleep, and the off-kilter piano melody of Tookie Knows Too contributes a brooding atmosphere, but everything else around it adds nothing noteworthy of any sort. So overall, I definitely don't think that this project is anywhere near as good as Oxymoron, nor do I think that Q has delivered some of his best material of his career at all. It's a pretty frustrating listen if truth be told, because some of the production decisions are either too messy or too sparse, some of the vocal deliveries lack a real sense of menace and ferocity that the previous album had in abundance, and even some guest features don't exactly bring their A game to this album either. Nevertheless, on the tracks that are a lot more focused, have far more attractive beats and deliveries that concentrate on just giving the listener the lyrics and are not manipulated or echoed incessantly, this album does shine through, but when compared to other great hip hop records of 2016, this album's flaws tend to become more prominent with every listen. Overall, I score this album a 71 out of 100.